Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Some Random Guy Speaks. I am your host, Tony G, and we are about to get started tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about who broken the Black family unit. Who did it? And we're going to talk about it, right? We're going to talk about it though tonight. I think this have a lot of relevancy in regards to the so-called black community. I call it the so-called black community, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to discuss that as well. Why do I call it a so-called black community? I've been calling the so-called black community for quite some time because in order to have a community, what is entailed? Well, you have to have a mother, a father, and you have to have others participating as well. With any neighborhood, there is a mother and a father, there is businesses, there is a church, there is everything in the community, restaurants, supermarkets, things of this nature, right? And in the community, you're really talking about people that a lot of them are middle class families and up in these particular communities, which we don't have anymore. We used to have it. There was a time before I was born, but there was a time. My grandmother used to tell me all the stories when she was in the South. But there was a time, right, where the blacks actually had communities. And if you looked at it all throughout the South, they had community, which means that people were married over an 80% rate. They had not only that, but they had their family, friends, they had black businesses. There was a commerce at one time, You had the black bus lines. There was probably over 100 black bus lines. You had black movie theaters. You had a community. You had black supermarkets. You know how you go to a supermarket? Blacks nowadays, like myself, I've never been and never seen a thriving black community where everything was bought and paid for by blacks, plus the money circulated in the black community. Now, we got to agree that what made this possible, there was a thing called segregation, right? And segregation allowed a lot of this type of stuff to happen because whites in the South did not want to integrate with blacks going to their restaurants, going to their supermarkets and other stuff. If they did, they had to go use like the back of and all this other kind of stuff. So these were things that blacks were conditioned to do whenever they had to interact with whites. Most of the time, blacks interacted with their own. They preferred to. My grandmother's generation, my great grandmother's generation, that's the way it always have been. Blacks back then, especially in the South, they always interact and worked amongst each other in the heart of segregation. Now, we already know the history that segregation ended with the signing of the Civil Rights Bill in 1964. Prior to that, blacks had more wealth under segregation than without, especially in the South. North was a whole different element, right? It was a whole different element in the North. It wasn't like the South, right? The North had a whole different element, ladies and gentlemen. They really did, you know? So, with that entail that we're talking about here, um, if you notice in the South, and a lot of blacks had family and relatives in the South, they can basically agree with what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? They can agree. They understand. And many of these black prominent cities in the North existed too. It was a thing called Asheville, North Carolina. There was Rosewood in Florida. There was Black Bottom in Detroit on Hastings Street. There was most famous, I read the book, it was called Black Wall Street. Every city across the United States had a prominent black community, which is segregation was the earmark of it. What was considered to be a bad thing was a good thing, right? Because it forced blacks to rely on themselves. Even when you had like black professionals, they weren't allowed to be amongst whites in the suburbs and all that stuff, even though they have tried. But due to redlining and all these other practices, blacks weren't even allowed. Professional blacks weren't even allowed. So you had both professional blacks. They lived in the same community as the I'm talking about, and then as well as your poor blacks. So it concentrated the economical conglomerate of black people, right? And this is exactly what ended up happening, right? So I said I wanted to talk about this because you had black women, and this was all before welfare. Welfare Act didn't happen for black women until 1965, right? And we're going to talk about that a little later. But I'm talking about all of the good things when blacks had when we had neighborhoods, we had community. And not only that, though, we really enjoyed working and living amongst each other. We didn't have the Bloods and the Crips. We didn't have gang activity. We had a community. It was a time when my grandmother said they were able to leave their doors unlocked and everything like nobody wasn't breaking into nobody's house because everybody knew each other. They wouldn't think of something. Now I know it's hard to believe because look if you fast forward today and a bunch of YNs. There was no such thing as a YN back in those days. You know what I'm saying? So we had community. I mean, you're going to go ahead and break into Miss Johnson's house if you want to. They're saying, oh, yeah, that was Tyrone over there. Everybody knew Tyrone, but he wasn't that dumb to go break in Miss Taylor's house. We already know what would happen with that. You know what I'm saying? Because we had community. There was no reason to break into Miss Taylor's house because you know why? Tyrone had to answer to his daddy at home, which is today, you got a lot of these YNs, they do not have a daddy. They do not have a father. So this is giving pushback for blacks that want to believe in all this pro-black and racism. If you really want to think about it, segregation, and I got to agree with Byron Donaldson, I believe, when he had the interview, I believe it was him or Tim Scott, one of the two, right? I'm going to say this, though. When segregation happened, I'm going to say for a lot of blacks, it was actually better because without segregation, how is not having segregation? Blacks were comfortable with it. Old school blacks, my grandmother in their generation, they didn't want to deal with white folks, only if they had to, but it wasn't necessary. They had their own sustaining communities, and that's what they were used to. You had a lot of farmers, right? Black farmers back then, that would sell their product to market amongst black people. We had a commerce. Don't think that we always had a hood, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's hard to really conceive and think that, oh, that wasn't true. If you were to look back in your history and your family photo album, you would see that your mother, and I'm talking about your grandparents and your great grandparents, they were thin as a rail. They didn't have all this fat stuff going on, dialysis clinics. We had a better quality of life, even under segregation. It's true. We didn't have these ailments like we have today, right? I'm just here to set the record straight, right? This is exactly what we had back then. If I know for some of us, as Generation Xers, we don't have the privilege of being able to talk to our grandparents no more. But there was a time, if you were to wind back 20, 30 years ago, they would tell you, because a lot of black family members are from the South. Some of y'all in Detroit and other black urban cities, you have black people that have migrated from the South to work in the North, work in Henry Ford's plant. We know it was called the Great Migration. And like I said, how you think blacks come to the city? A lot of us some of us were, but a lot of us wasn't born in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee. Parents may have been, but not us. We come from the big cities because they migrated up here. But what I'm saying is that if we were to look at it, right, we didn't have Arabs, we didn't have Chinese and all this other stuff living in our communities. You know what we had? We had predominantly black people, and black people were comfortable with dealing with black people back in those days. It's absolutely true. I remember reading the book Walls of Black Wall Street, right? Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? This is before the riots, right? This is before they dropped the turpentine bombs on black people and all this other stuff, right? Blacks had a thriving community in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's called Black Wall Street. And with Black Wall Street, right, you had a series of storefronts, black bank, I think it was called the Freeman Bank, where blacks at the time was trusted because we didn't have no choice. You couldn't put your money in a white bank. Black people knew better than that. Why you think putting your money in the mattress, where you think that came from? That came from black folk because they didn't trust putting their money in a white bank. So some of y'all grandparents and great grandparents are not around anymore, like mine isn't around. But right now, if they was here, they said, you are 100% correct, boy. They said, boy, how you know that, boy? You don't know nothing about that, boy. You know how they always talk. You know, Southern people always say what you don't know about. They always say that all the time, right? Boy, yeah, come here, boy. You don't know nothing about that. Sit down, boy. Let me tell you something, boy. But that was the lingo. That's how people talk back in those days, right? But yeah, so that's the thing about it, you know. Blacks have more wealth in the heart of segregation than they do today. So we're gonna get down to it. Who broke into black family? We're gonna talk about it, ladies and gentlemen, because this has a lot to do with what's going on today, right? We are inundated with a bunch of YN, single mama, black, out of control ass black women that's big mouth, sassy mouth, fat, out of shape. All this stuff is afterwards, not before. Gotta keep in mind, like I showed before, if we were to look back in time, right, and seeing how black women dressed and they were thin and it was in shape, right? They may have had a perm in their hair, but it was still their hair versus extensions and stuff, tattoos. I mean, it's horrible today, though, fellas. You know what I'm talking about. Black men. Some of you guys follow me on the channel. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm just here to say, to tell the truth and set the record straight. Because we didn't have all that going on with our grandparents. What we have is a rebellion today. You know, look how these entitled ass women that's getting SNAP and WIC and EBT and all the rest of the stuff. Look how slick mouth and fat mouths a lot of them are. You know, I had a slick fat mouth black woman in here earlier today. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we are. This is what not we producing, but this is what the Democratic left system is producing with the help of black women. It's two people to blame, and weak ass black men that went along with it. It's three people to blame: the Democrats, black women, and weak black men. This is why we don't have a neighborhood no more. We have a hood, and we're gonna talk about it, right? And this is exactly what happened. So let's go ahead and go further on. So I already mentioned about some of the gist, right, of this type of stuff, right? So let's go ahead and go down through here, right? So we're gonna be talking about the Great Society is what is referred to, right? Under Lyndon B. Johnson, right? He created the Great Society. So under the Great Society, right, and it went from 1964 to 1965. 64 was the signing of the what we call the Civil Rights Bill. 1965, the Great Society, this is a Welfare Act, was implemented. It was the most ambitious set of social reform, ladies and gentlemen, since the New Deal, aimed, right, at eliminating poverty and racial injustice while dramatically expanding the role of the federal government. This is exactly what ended up happening. What were some of the major goals outlining some of the things in 1964? There was a University of Michigan speech, and this is what they were basically, so they were trying to do, right? We know that Lyndon B. Johnson was a known racist. He hated black folks, calling them all kind of N-words and all that stuff. So we already know that. So what would a racist really want to really, did they really want to help black people, or did they want to draw a margin between black men and black men and black women? I think it's they wanted to draw a margin between black men and women talking about they did a war on poverty, ending racial discrimination, improve educational health and housing in cities, and protecting the environment. Let me ask you this. Have any of since 1964 under the Civil Rights Act, had there been an end on poverty, end on racial discrimination? Now I know with racial discrimination today, I mean that right there is not so much of a thing that it was back then. That could still be argued. I know some people are gonna still argue that. Improve education, healthcare, and housing in cities. Proven healthcare, education. I'm going to go ahead and rebuttal against that, because we know ever since the United States government, which is called the Department of Education, since they hijacked the educational system, a lot of us in public school were already, it's like going to the killing fields, because really public school was one of the worst things to be educated in. It was like a zoo if you grew up in the inner city, right? A lot of us went to the inner city in the school, though, you know what I'm saying? Trying to learn, fights continuously, fighting the teachers, smoking, drinking, all the rest of this stuff, right? I mean, it was really, really bad in some of these inner cities. I'm here to tell you, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't really the best quality of education. We had like third edition, fourth edition books. Every time the suburbs kids get the new stuff, then we always got not even the second hand, it was like the third hand stuff, I remember. You know what I'm saying? But they donated in these inner cities. It was designed to fail, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm here to say that, because if it wasn't, then why is our communities? We don't have no communities no more. It was failing in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, man. Look at this, drugs and stuff, man, please. Let's talk about the key legislation and programs. The Civil Rights Act of 1964. Voting Right Act of 1965, they put that in there as well, right? The Fair Housing Act, remember I said that, 1968, right? So we had all this going on. But what did it produce? Well, I'm here to tell you, it produced what we call the ghetto projects, right? Look at this, like Good Times wasn't Good Times, you know what I'm saying? They had a impoverished mentality living in the inner city in these high-rise buildings, right? And in these high-rise buildings, you had crime, you had violence, you have gangs and drugs, and they eliminated the father out of the home. This is exactly what it is. You didn't have James Evans growing up if you was in the 70s and 80s. That's when the decline in the black family unit started happening after 1965. You see what I'm saying? So keep it together above water, make it away if you can, man. You know, we're talking about good times, you know, but it wasn't always good times, because the father was pushed out the home because the black woman chose welfare over her husband. And I'm gonna tell you something else though too. The government, whether they were trying to help or not, I'm gonna say this. To me, it was really a Trojan horse. Now, I don't think they knew the magnitude of what they were implementing regarding the when we talk about the actual Welfare Act of '65. I don't think that the government, the Democrats that was in charge, I don't think they knew the magnitude of what they were really, let's say, uncorking. Because black women that were getting welfare, getting pregnant, getting welfare, man can be in a home, it was like a paradise for these sisters. They didn't have to work. It started having a ripple effect, because now you had a degree of some of these black women that were welfare queens. It's going to keep it real. There was generations of this type of stuff, which produced laziness, right? Entitlement, right? It put a wedge between black men and women. This is why a lot of black women are out of control right now, that most black men don't even want to deal with no more. You know what I'm saying? This is why we are single now. I know it, man. Look at it. What is it? 54% of black men that are single and childless. That is real. That is real statistics. Black demographics, right? That's where those statistics come from. It have produced it. I mean, damn, it really messed up things majorly. And I ain't gonna give the. I'm not. I mean, here it is. I don't even think the Democrats of '64. I don't. Under Lyndon B. Johnson, I don't think that they even knew the magnitude of what they really unearthed. You know what I'm saying? This is all experimental. Projects and all this shit was all experimental. It really was. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the main reasons as to why we have a problem with war. They talk about war on poverty. They, according to the Democrats, they said it was an economic opportunity act, right? To create jobs, corps, vistas, Head Start, right? Those to name a few. Food stamps, ATMAID, permanent, right? Healthcare, Medicare, for the elderly, Medicaid, low income, 1965. What ended up happening? Abusing the system. The sisters started to distance themselves from black men, right? They started doing this stuff. They thought they knew better. They had the government. They were able to go to school, get a learning, get somewhat of an education. But all this stuff about black women being the most educated, no, they're not. They're the most enrolled, not the most educated. They're the most enrolled. And we already know this is another myth that come from a lot of these black women sisters. Try to say that they're the most educated. You're the most enrolled. And let's keep it real. Most of them haven't even completed the degree program. When you have a lot of debt, they never plan on paying that debt back. This is another reason, of course, these sisters are looking for a baller man now because they up the debt, up the wazoo with debt. It makes a lot of sense. You got credit card debt, you got student loan debt, you got a car payment debt, you got insurance debt, home or rent. There's mountains of debt around these sisters. And I just want you black men to be conscientious of it. So we ain't talking about they need a man with stability and all that, because she didn't put her ass in fucking debt that she knows she ain't gonna be able to get her ass out of. See what I'm saying? Had she would have clinged to her man and not took this fucking bait of the welfare, because black folks were doing just fine. They had family and she had a husband. Black women knew in order for her to survive, she would have her ass linked to her husband, right? My grandmother wasn't a feminist. You know what I'm saying? They understood what it was. In fact, the silent generation, which is my grandparents' generation, if you're a Generation Xer, they have more sense than the baby boomers and Generation X, millennials and zennials. They have way more sense. They had way more wealth, and they didn't have a lot of education, and they didn't have a lot of debt either. You see what I'm saying? They didn't have all this shit. All this shit is Johnny come late. Got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, and want to sit up here and act like you better than all these brothers. All they ever wanted to be loved by a black woman. But since black woman got set-asides, programs that have elevated her up, so she think, but you have become more in debt and more in poverty. You look at these sisters that hold a whole bunch of poverty and want to get on the internet and then talk ish. Man, please. You know what I'm saying? Been exposed that. Who you fooling? Who are you fooling? You ain't fooling nobody. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing about it. You allowed the government to disconnect you from your black man. Now you got to get it out the mud or try to get it where you can get it, and you get it older. This is a statement that Kevin Samuels used to always say. Stress weren't made on hips, it was made on shoulders. And I always use that as well. Shout out to the late, great Kevin Samuels. May he rest in power. Because the brother was on it. You know what I'm saying? And this is exactly what it is. They shouted him down. You know, we got an out of control situation with black women. And it's only getting worse. I'm talking about American bred, stiff necked, hard headed ass black women. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're dealing with right now. I don't have to deal with it per se, because like I said, I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't tell them what they need to do. I let them go on their own accordance and let them go into their self-destruction. You know what I'm saying? So other than that, let's go ahead and get down through the rest of it, right? So we're talking about the education, right? Elementary, Secondary Education Act of 1965, the first major federal aid to the public schools, Higher Education Act, Pell Grant, student loans. These were the things that were offered, right? If you qualified, right? I remember those days when blacks were able to get Pell Grants. I had one. We were able to get this stuff for low income, right? Major federal aid. I remember that. Federal aid, shoot. You know what I'm saying? And then you had Pell Grants, and then you had the last one, which is student loans. I don't even think that blacks even get any of this stuff. I think they do if it's a single mama that got a low income. You know, they give her going to school. They got all kind of programs for her and the kids. You know what I'm saying? What about the city and environment, right? We're talking about Department of Housing, right? Which is an urban development, which is better known as HUD, right? Modern cities, programs, Clean Air Act, right? These are the things, the amendments, Highway Beautification Act, which was called Lady Bird Bill. Lady Bird Bill. Lady Bird. But at any event, Public Broadcasting Act, right? Public Broadcasting. This is where PBS came about. PBS came about in 1967. This is a Democrat-led publication broadcast. There was another one called PBS, which I just said, PBS and NPR, right? These were birthed out of this program back in 1967, right? I thought they were hijacked, but apparently they were created by the Democrats. But one good thing about it is, I remember as a kid, I used to watch PBS. As I think Electric Company and all that, Sesame Street, these were things that we used to, man, me and my brother used to look at, watch Electric Company only for Spider-Man. And they'll have a glimpse of him for a minute. He never speak. They never had the whole action thing. And we as kids, we used to always wait to watch the whole thing. See if they sometimes they won't even show them, right? I didn't even care about Electric Company that much, other than making sure I was watching Spider-Man, right? So this is what it is, 1967, right? Here's another thing, consumer protection truth, right? In lending, auto safety, cigar labeling laws, all this stuff came out of that era too, right? They said a quick impact by the numbers. Poverty rate fell from 19% in 1964 to 11% by 1973, right? This is what they said. What the question will be before 1964. You know what I'm saying? Where was the Poverty Act then? Because if you was in a black community, especially in the South, and we were married over at an 80% rate, and the man, which is the husband, went out and worked, I would like to know what would the poverty rate would have been then. They talk about it in the 60s, right? They said it went down. But here's the thing, though. It gave entitlement to black women. You created a more of a what we call a the wealth disparity, as opposed to a wealth it was the margarine disparity, big time. Shit. How did we win? It broke up the family unit. So your 11%, so according to their statistics, they said the poverty went down by 11%. I guess so, because if the government is their daddy and ain't no man in the house, how is that a good thing? What should have happened is having, like we said, could have get rid of segregation, right? Instead of championing black folks to get on white people bus lines and all this other stuff, because again, black people had a bus line. They had over 100 bus lines in Mobile, Alabama. Come on now. They had stuff like this, right? They don't never, man, please. Millions gained health insurance, right? For the first time, right? Because I admit, health insurance wasn't something that a lot of black folks had. But one thing about it, in the South, blacks had each other. It was called a midwife. You had other type of things. There was a lot of black shamans back in the days. My great-great-grandmother was a midwife. You know, they wasn't comfortable going to a white hospital birthing no damn kid. In the South, that's how they did it. Check your history on your family. I'm speaking the truth, right? Black voter registration in the South, they said claim that it's soared, and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Because of the Voter Act and this possibility that I have had. Some of these things ain't all bad, but the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, that it created something different where black women started turning against the black men. I don't need a man. I don't want a man. Hey, girl, that's what ended up happening out of this. You know what I'm saying? And here it is. We never came out of this as a black man and woman back together. No, they're not. They're more at odds. We are more at odds with each other, more so than ever before. My friend wanted to have an open forum with him. I said, no way. I'm not doing an open forum with black women to be criticized and ridiculed. They'd probably break out in a fight, man. No, it's already a done deal, man. You can't come back from this. Look at the type of pushback that Trump is getting, right? Because look at what he's doing. Because now that everybody got to apply to get on, snapping in and all that, man, they talking big time issue about that. Ain't no way in the world I'm gonna have an open forum about this stuff. No way, no in the world. I'm just saying we know who destroyed the black community. Some of you whites, you probably are learning about some of this stuff because I know you don't know. You know what I'm saying? But this is exactly what ended up happening, right? Because let's talk about the bad sides of this great society thing that Lyndon B. Johnson implemented. Because we already know he was a known racist. That is true, right? He created dependency culture. What is a dependency culture? People that look for other people to do something for them instead of them doing something for themselves. That's exactly what they have created coming from the left. It exploded federal spending bureaucracies, right? Because when you got a people that's not pushing their weight, not paying taxes, how does that benefit black people? I'm just saying though, right? Where do we benefit from this? When it's like saying with the Indians, well, we're gonna give you reparations, you own the land, you already know what's going on over there. That's the same thing happened with black folks. Talking about wanting to get their reparation. As far as I'm concerned, shit, if you got a child, more child you have, you got what they call welfare. You just living in the projects. You ain't living on no you know what I'm saying, Indian reservation. You are on the reservation. It's called the projects. That's what happened in the late 60s, early 70s. Just look at Good Times. They talk about this. The movie called Claudine. You can look at some of these movies. You look at a lot of those black exploitation movies. It was always in the ghetto, right? In these high-rise buildings, right? I mean, I'm just saying, this is exactly what it is. You know? People in the South had homes. We had communities. Wasn't nobody living in the projects. That was city stuff. We weren't no city dwellers. White folks at the time lived in that. A lot of black folks are from the country. Go and keep it real, right? Look at this stuff. The many urban programs, right? Public housing projects. This is the thing which have failed and backfired, right? Because the huge costs in these public housing things, right? Let alone the Vietnam War that was going on, there was heavy inflation. This project, I'm wondering what this project, I'm gonna have to pull this up one day to find out how much did this project under Lyndon B. Johnson, the Great Society, how much did it really cost, right? Because what it was is that, in short, The Great Society was Lyndon B. Johnson's attempt to create an American version of welfare state on steroids, whether it was triumph or tragic, overreach, right? This is exactly what he ended up doing. There was a guy called Patrick Moynihan. It was called the Moynihan Report. And you can pull this up. He urged them not to do this. He said by doing this, you're going to destroy the black unity, the black conglomerate with cohesiveness between black men and women. And it did. It did. Black folks survived from slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, right? Redlining. The only thing that messed us up that got between black men and women, there's two caveats. One, which is called the Welfare Act, and number two is feminism. We had two elements that was going on that divided black men from black women. This was the plan, man, and it ended up happening. Now, did the Democrats know that this was going to happen? No. They did not know that this was going to happen. But what it did, as I said it before, it led to dependency culture. This is what ended up happening, right? This is why a lot of them ain't no good today, ain't worth two rusty nickels today, because they have an impoverished, right, welfare poverty mindset. They're always talking about all the time about the white man this, I have the lack of education and all this stuff. Like one of my friends right now, he believes in this type of nonsense without actually looking at what created the nonsense in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And then you study voting for Democrat, which you voted for your destruction. Because all this stuff that I'm just was telling y'all, as you are, some of you may or may not know, this was a Democrat policy. This wasn't a Republican policy. It was a Democrat policy. That's why Tom McDonald say the devil is a Democrat. This is exactly what it is, right? I'm here to set the record straight, right? And that's exactly what it is. This is documented. This is not made up. I don't care how much that you don't like the Republicans. That's fine. But know this. Your mother and fathers or grandparent, the ones that's like millennial and so forth, somewhere if you lived in the inner city, somebody was on welfare. And that was a Democratic policy. Instead of every other race clean to their man, not the black woman. The black woman is a totally different type of creature. You see what I'm saying? Because she feels like she's self-sustaining. She don't need a man. It ain't no social hierarchy what it is with black women. It's going to be black woman first, then her children, and then it's going to be the man. See, it's the hyena social hierarchy. If you study hyenas, if you look at the female hyena, she is big. She is bigger than the male hyena. Sounds familiar. You look at the average of these sisters, right? Let's go on and tell it. Kevin Samuels knew the statistics, just like I know it, right? You have black women right now averaging between 5'4" and over by about 180 pounds. And that's average. Just like if you look at the hyena, right? The hyena with the female hyena is bigger than the male hyena. And with the female hyena, right? It's her, the daughters, the sons, and then it's the male, which is the father. He's the last one on the pecking order. Does it sound familiar that the social hierarchy of a female hyena and the social hierarchy of an average black woman in the inner city? Holler at your boy. Am I right? Shit. You know what I'm saying? Look at look at this. Look at this. And they want to get fat mouth and lippy to come in here. You know what I'm saying? They can't even challenge this type of stuff. This is documented. And it's sad. It's pathetic. It's pathetic how much black women have disconnected themselves from black men. They will not have it any other way unless they're in charge. No other woman behave this way, but a black woman in America, she does. And this type of cancer is spreading because it's even in the white community. It's even in the Asian community. It's even in some of the Latina and Native American community. This cancer is spreading, right? This is exactly what's going on. And I said I was going to be cooking tonight. Yep. But I know this hyena is going to be coming tomorrow. She may even make a podcast or not. She probably won't because she say, well, this guy ain't got no numbers. He ain't got no numbers for real. You just caught me on the bad night. That's all. Because a lot of people that follow me for real, they got lives, man. They got a job. Most conservatives do. They ain't like the Democrats sitting up on the fucking internet all through the hours of day and the night. We out here trying to make a living. I'm taking a break right now. You know, I'm happy what I do because I don't have to worry about the job, the man, oh, you doing this and that. I'm totally independent and I love it that way. Shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing. But yeah, man, I'm gonna say it though, man. This is absolutely ridiculous and crazy. I'm over here looking at this stuff, this hyena ass mind, black women out of control more so than ever, and things like that. And she will not concede. She will not concede. She won't. That's why I told my nephew, I tell young black men all the time, get your passport. If you know, you can date black women in other places. It ain't just America for black women. You can go to other places and areas. You just have to be willing to travel. That's just how it is, though. You just can't stay in these areas, though. Like I said, I've said this before. I'm gonna say it again. The places on the East Coast is horrible for black men for dating. Detroit is one of them. This is horrible if you're a black man trying to date in Detroit. You can't do it in New York. You can't do it in Chicago. You can't do it in Philadelphia, right? Maryland, and so forth. Those places are horrible for a black man trying to date. You got education, you got things going for yourself. It's gonna be a horrible experience trying to date them sisters, man. Tell me something that I don't know. You know, this is one of the main reasons. 54% of black men are single and childless. Don't have. I'm one of them. Omega is another one. We got a few others. I got another friend of mine too, man. He's in that same statistic. My friend Paxton. He's in that same statistic. This guy is 53 years old. He ain't never been. He never had any children. I don't have no children. You know what I'm saying? Man, shoot. Having children today with the modern woman is like signing a death warrant. I'm serious. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna rob you from you. It's a transfer of wealth. We already know that the divorce rate is so high. The last I checked, especially in the black community, 70% of black women are single with children. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what's going on right there. Ain't no daddy around there. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of circumstances to that. But they were not taught to be with their husbands. This is generational single mama type stuff. You know what I'm saying? My mother was taught to be with her husband. She was promised that she didn't have to work. But we're talking about baby boomers, right? Versus Gen X, and millennial, Zennial, right? Alpha barely is here. Generation Alpha. Shit. What type of legacy are they leaving today for their children? Nothing but a bunch of poverty. You know what I'm saying? For real. A impoverished mindset. That's what the generations have to look for in the inner cities and the black neighborhoods. It created dependency culture, right? As I said before, exploded federal spending, right? With these bullshit bureaucracies. This is exactly what ended up happening. And these were democratic policies. Don't let nobody else tell you otherwise. You can pull this up yourself. It's called the Great Society. You can Google it and look at it for yourself. And that's exactly what happened. It wasn't meant to broad or shorten the wealth gap between whites and blacks. It really wasn't. That is just a Trojan horse, another Trojan horse. Man, I mean, we still over here looking up here, and this, I mean, damn, man, it's like it's really, really sad that a lot of them don't see this. They think it's a way to go. When you're scrolling, man, and you see all these fat mouth, out of shape ass sisters, man, running their motherfucking trap. It's sad, man. It's sad, wearing bonnets and shit and weave and tattoos. And they want to, and they just the ghetto queens. I mean, damn, we ain't got no choice but to roll out. Am I right? We ain't got no choice but to roll out. Told my nephew, get your passport. Just got back from the Philippines. He got him a girlfriend in the Philippines, man. And guess what? She's in shape, walking around in sundresses and everything and sandals, not tattooed out, not this ghetto queen, ghetto mama type stuff, man. Please. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be honest with you, man. You know, if you go to these third world countries, man, they ain't got no programs like this. You either have to survive, you either have to rely on your family or rely on your husband or die, starve and die. Because I guarantee, if I dropped a lot of these fat mouth ass, disrespectful ass black women in any third world country, a lot of them won't make it. That attitude will change real quick. It's just that they're living in a society that they are protected by the government to allow them to be sassy mouth like this. You know what I'm saying? You got laws in other countries, they wouldn't do it in Saudi Arabia. They would get the trash knocked out their mouth over there. You know, them Arabs ain't playing. They don't play with women over there, right? Africa too. They don't play with them. Only in the this is a first world issue where they have set aside programs, Medicaid, Medicare, Head Start. They got all these type of programs, SNAP, WIC. They got all these type of things, right? And guess who paying for this stuff? Taxpayers. And then they want to sit up here and act like they're better than somebody. Oh, no, you ain't taking care of me. I ain't got to listen to no nigga, right? This is the attitude that they have. They created this. They allowed themselves to be ensnared and entrapped into a perpetuating poverty system, right? Ain't no man in the home. Not allowed to. Not allowed to be. Look at this type of stuff. And then we're going to sit up in here and try to make it sound like it's doing something it's not. It's the opposite. They have failed. They have failed their children. They have failed their communities. And this is the thing. They don't pay into the tax system. Let me tell you something, man. When you reach a certain, or as you get older and you start to improve with education and stuff, you pay into the tax system. They never had to pay into the tax system. A lot of these systems do not understand how the real world works. Because if you got to pay taxes and other stuff, you know what I'm saying? They got this W-2 job, big daddy boss, take the taxes out, right? Now they bent out of shape. I got to work 30 hours now. Oh, woe is me. Man, please. You own the system for 2 years. And this policy have always been around when you were on benefits. It's just that a president like Trump is implementing it. And I'm glad he is. Because one thing about it, though, they're going to be all right. They'll bitch about the president. Who gives a fuck? Right? Because it's about time that y'all get off your fucking asses and get out here and work like everybody else too. You know what I'm saying? You already got programs designed to be where you could go back to school and get an education. and stop taking these bullshit ass liberal arts degrees and shit like that, and gender study degrees, and get into a real degree where you can make some real money. So that way you can get yourself out of a poverty situation. How about that? While you study sitting up here talking shit about black men. You're over 50 some odd percent of black men, right? These black men, I'm talking about black men right now. Most of these black men are in the middle class already. They just single. Rightfully so, because guess what, man? When you ain't in a relationship, you ain't got to pay no money out. You can save money. Anybody that's single, you can save money when you don't have a woman. Woman takes from your wealth. They subtract. They ain't adding to your account. They always taking, always minusing, always bitching, always whining, right? They don't add shit to you. But what woman do you know that light your world up, right? Just think about it, right? Man, you're lying if you saying they do. They don't. They always subtracting from your decimals all the time, right? I'm better by myself, more so economically than ever, right? They are the ones worrying about money all the time. You see these sisters all the time. Be like 5 or 6 of them going to these mediocre ass restaurants. These ain't even high-end restaurants, man. They over here trying to run out of stiff a person not to pay the bill to run out. Who does some low down ass shit like that? They want to go in Applebee's, right? They want to go to Chili's and all these places. These ain't even high-end restaurants, man. This is low-end stuff. This is low behavior ass shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and they do this stuff, man. Nobody got to be sitting up here lying about this shit. It's the truth. They do this stuff, man. And they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about it. I'm talking about some of these black women do it. That's the thing about it, though, man. Shit, man, please. So, yeah, so I talked about it. We went over the Great Society, Lyndon B. Johnson, and we talked about a lot of things with it. And it's got great criticism. I got great criticism because, once again, it created a dependency culture. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I mean, I'm just saying, though, man, you as a black man living under the roof of a woman getting welfare where she's a subsidized income. All she had to do is pay a portion, right, of the rent. I mean, some of it used to be like under $100, and some of them messed that up. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Can y'all imagine, man? If you were living like that, you would have some saved up money for real. You would think that this would translate with the sisters. It don't. They're horrible with money. They don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. You mean to tell me you got subsidized Section 8 housing where you only have to pay, man, a little small, like $45, $60? You got bare minimum and you still broke. You still don't have no money. What sense does that make? Man, fellas, if y'all know if that would have been your asses, yeah, you have all kind of money. I mean, shit. And here's the thing about it. A lot of them, welfare queens and all, right? They're at home, right? At least where it used to be. I mean, paying to subsidize, living in government subsidized homes and stuff like that. We call it Section 8. And they got a boyfriend. They got some type of man. And they're going to be finessing them for money. Because you think you're going to lay down with a sister, you got to pay up. So I don't understand how they broke. How in the hell are y'all broke? I know why, but I mean, it just don't make any sense. Because you got, as I said before, you got Section 8 housing, right? You got WIC, right? And a lot of them got a man. They got some type of boyfriend or some type of booty call, whatever it is, they're going to get some money from it. I don't understand how they broke. I don't understand how they are broke You got to be the most stupid, idiotic type of person on the planet to be broke when you got so much going for you. This is what I'm saying, though, man. It creates dependency. It's a dependency culture. All they do is just sit back and just depend on some damn body to do something for them instead of getting out here and doing something for themselves. And I ain't saying this was all black women, but this is with some black women. This is exactly what it is. They created this impoverished ass, culture ass type shit. And then we got YNs now. Do you realize that the choices that a lot of these black women have made back then, now we dealing with a lot of these damn Zenio, young YN ass Negroes running around over here in gangs and all the rest of this stuff. All they're going to do is, they don't like the truth, because how they would have been a father in the home and a loving parent, how you would have saw the model, no dang on way in the world you would duplicate this stuff. They duplicate this stuff because they think this is how it's supposed to go. You are disconnected from your men, and you are out of control as ever. This is why the passport bro movement is so damn popular. I got young black men in my ear, young and old, they don't want to deal with this shit. I don't want to deal with this shit. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna date a woman around my age range. Are you kidding me? Hell no. And then he got to deal with a possible YN or him living in the home. You ain't left him no type of instructions to be independent for himself. Still living at home with mama. Hey, mama. Hell no, man. All that's unattractive. And I'm just speaking the truth, right? This is exactly what it is. I'm going to cook today because this was unnecessary. Had they would have not, to a lot of these black women, had they would have not chosen the traps because they just looked at it short term. Poverty thinking people always thinking short term. People with money and wealth thinking long term. Think about that. While they over here thinking about their next check, they were going crazy because they weren't going to get their SNAP benefits. You got jobs out here, and they could have went out here and got a job until then. Nope, they went over here and made a big stake, man. These old trifling ass bitches on the internet talking all this shit, white, black, and other. Man, get the hell out of here. You got countries where you don't get none of that stuff. Man, I really wish I could round their asses up and ship their asses over here to some of these third world countries where they can understand what real pain and suffering really is. I would love to drop their ass off in India and some in Africa and some of these Asian countries talking about welfare and SNAP. They'll laugh at you. Them women over there laugh at your butt. How ridiculous you are. And they want to throw your nose up. You know, somebody should slap your face silly. I wish Big Mama was still here right now. A lot of them need to get their faces slapped for this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy. So I enjoy doing the cooking tonight because they ain't left no alternative. Raising another impoverished generation. It's enough that this shit got to stop. But like I said, it's not going to stop. Black men, you got to stop sharing your seed with these undesirable ass women and these sisters too. You got to stop that, man. I'm seeing all kind of women that got children. I'm like, damn, somebody was desperate to get her pregnant. Damn. Come on now. Y'all stop that. Y'all stop that, man. This is, all right, man. You know what I'm saying? As Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson was always say, you got baby makers and slut maker. You know? Come on now. Brothers, got to stop doing it. We got to do better than this now. Shoot, you got opportunities. Y'all just, I mean, some of these brothers don't even know, man. My nephew went over to the Philippines for the first time. He witnessed for himself. He found out that I told him, I said, you in the upper echelon of men in their country. Do you realize what type of power you have over there? And that's just with the women. the businesses, opportunities, man. And you just over here in America being disrespected, taking the disrespect from these old trifling ass black women and others. Ain't no way in the world. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta have low self-esteem trying to date these fucking hyenas. You gotta have low self-esteem. These broad backs, big backs, line backs, you gotta have some low self-esteem. Yeah, I'm a big guy, but that's different. Because I can still, it's different for a man, not for no woman to be bigger than a man. I'm supposed to be the big one, not her. Shit. Damn. Oh my goodness. Whoa, boy, man. Oh shit, man. Ooh, man. Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, man. Fellas, man. Damn, we gotta do better, man. I think I'm gonna keep this one, man. I'm gonna keep this live this time. But yeah, man, I just wanted to talk about this stuff, man. Do you really think that we winning, ladies and gentlemen? Or do you think that I'm just saying the black community ain't winning? We still 13%. And one can champion your own self-destruction. You champion your own self-destruction, gentlemen. I'm talking about the women. They champion their own destruction in the black community by voting for these damn power parties and shit like that. I mean, damn. We ain't, man, have you looked around? We ain't left past 13%, even when I was a child. Man, oh man. Number one killer, abortion, right? This is exactly what's going on. Shit, damn, boy. You would have figured by now, instead of being stuck on stupid, you would have figured by now, and it's like saying, hey, you know, we got to change the course. We got to do something a little bit different, because look at what's going on. Planned Parenthood, you know what I'm saying? You got these old sluts out here. They love abortion. Because if they get knocked up, 6 abortions, 7 abortions, you know? I mean, there's a problem. STDs is high in the inner cities. Said this before. Sexually transmitted diseases is at an all-time high in these inner cities. Herpes, syphilis, gonorrhea. Let's talk about it, right? This is the stuff that's going on. I'm so glad that I ain't one of these young people today. Oh yeah, Howard, how you doing, man? Man, I'm just noticing that you just commenting. Hold on, Howard. Hold on for a minute. Sorry about that. I never see anything more crazy than these modern day black women. I know, right? I never seen what is it? I'm sorry, I'm just getting back with you on this. I get caught up in my rants. I never see a braver man while serving in the military than black men that I serve with. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing about it, though, Howard. Man, I'm sorry I missed your comments earlier, man. I didn't mean to. I get kind of get caught up on my soapbox a little bit. But yeah, man. I mean, this is the thing about it. And I said that's why I labeled the title, "Who Broke in the Black Family?" Right? And it's really it's really black women because the government didn't force them. The government didn't put the gun up to them. It was black women that did this. Black women allowed their families to be broken up. This was by them. It wasn't by nobody else but them. And some of the black men that encouraged it, but most of it was a black woman decision. And this is why we don't have a community now. And I'm here just to set the record straight. Fuck what they talking about. This is the problem. I don't date them anyway. What am I getting out of it? Bunch of poverty? Because I already know that the average of the sisters holds a lot of debt anyway. What I want to sign up for that for? Shit, that's a sucker man's losing man's game right there, man. Because we already know, here it is. She done probably had some type of college education that she didn't complete. When we talk about student loans, she ain't gonna pay those back, right? And there's another thing she ain't gonna pay back. Probably got a credit card, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's already maxed out. Who you think? This is one of the main reasons. Then she gotta get her hair done. She gotta get her nails done. You know what I'm saying? Hair and nails, pedicures, manicures, pedicures. Gotta get hair done because she gotta be the most flyest bitch out there, right? They're in competition with each other. You know, women in competition with each other anyway. They don't dress for men; they dress for women. You know what I'm saying? She got to be the flyest bitch out there, right? This is the type of nonsense. This is one of them, these are the main reasons why they never had no money. It got to be bad for some of them when you go into a restaurant with your girls, right? And you order something, right? I done heard all type of stories with them. Because you know how they have the sugar packs out there on the table? So they'll take some lemon and make lemonade right there and drink the lemonade. This is how bad it is, where they didn't want to pay for a drink for some of them. It's just really sad, man. Or try to run out on the tip. Stiff a waitress on the bill. They're just, it was called Dine and Dash. You know what I'm saying? One of them left her car keys back and she had to come back. You know what I'm saying? This is this low class ass men. Black men don't do this. You know what I'm saying? We have the money, gentlemen. You already know black men got the money, just like men in general got the money. We ain't out here running out on no damn tab. I ain't never did no shit like that before. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here. I go to a restaurant. Probably the most I spend, including tip, is about 40 some odd dollars. I give them a nice 20, 25% tip. I always tip, right? I ain't worried about am I gonna be able to pay the bill. Keep your monkey ass at home if you can't afford the tip. You got to tip them too. And you know, a lot of black women, especially young black women, they're the worst tippers ever. Everybody know it. I used to work at a restaurant. Black women are the worst when it comes down to tipping. There's some other ethnic groups as well. You think you're gonna get a tip with an Indian? Wild red? No, no. Black women worse. They're right up there too. Little tip. It's sad though, man. Wait staff hate work waiting on them. It ain't about them being prejudiced. They already know that they're not going to get a good tip. You got a big old table, Sunday dinner after church, going to some of these restaurants out here like an Applebee's or Outback Steakhouse, right? Texas Roadhouse, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. And you see a bunch of women black women in a Sunday dress, right? All perfumed up, big as a fucking cow up there at the restaurant. You know what I'm talking about, right? Eating up every effing thing. When it come down to the tip, they got to split down the bill. Shit. I'm over here just speaking the truth, man. It is too much like being wrong. Not about being right. It's about being wrong, man. And they love being wrong. Oh, man. I tell you, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Howard, man, I just wanted to comment on you. I didn't even see that you was even in the room, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, I am sorry, though. I don't want to ignore too many people with the comments and stuff. But yeah, man, I just wanted to talk about this type of foolishness and nonsense. This is the type of stuff, gentlemen, that we as men, especially black men, got to look forward to. We don't. That's why I say, man, you ain't dating nothing. You know, this is one of the reasons why men don't live as long. You're grayed out. You be over there doing stuff for her and her family till your back give out. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't care. Just like that damn movie Django, where Samuel Jackson told Jamie Foxx, he said, "Yeah, we're gonna send your ass over there where you're gonna be busting big rocks down to the little rocks until your back give out." And that's exactly that's exactly how some of these black women are. It's like being on the chain gang, working hard until your back give out, man. That's gonna be your reward. Hell no, man. I say no way. I would rather be single. What's that old scriptures to say? I'd rather live on a corner of a roof than to live in a house with a quarrelsome woman. Right? I would rather do that because it's the truth. Let me see. Howard says, keep speaking truth to power. You men have taken back, take back your community. Yeah, I appreciate it, Howard. And this is exactly what needs to be done. You know, black men have to raise up and take their community back. Can't be afraid of these damn hyenas, man. You know what I'm saying? Remember, you are men. You were built for stress. You were builders, right? They are not. All they do is just run their damn mouth and live off the government and the system. They don't pay no taxes. How can she be a bad bitch when she ain't doing shit, but just talking shit and getting fat, right? So, like I said before, brothers, you gotta start taking it back. Take your communities back. If you don't, get your passport. You're gonna have to do something, right? I say get your passport, me personally. Because as long as there's a welfare system or some type of safety net, she could get in her justifiable means and still continue to have this boss bitch mentality instead of doing the right thing and clinging to your man like every other ethnic race, you know? Because that hyena mindset is not going away. It's there, and unfortunately, it's going to be there for most of them forever. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm going to tell you this, Howard. I know a lot of black men that got daughters, my brother included. Not one of their daughters, which are young black women, they have no relationship with their daddy at all. I got a nephew that got a daughter as well. Even he told me his daughter is 13. She do not call him. It's one of these type of things growing up in the black community, especially when you have a black girl, young black girl, they don't have no they don't they don't want to have no relationship with their daddies at all. Excuse me. They don't want to have no relationships with their fathers, their dads at all. It's too commonplace for them to get on social media and sit up here and say that their father ain't ish. You know, I know a lot of black men like that. I know a lot of them like that. Their daughters don't even rock with their daddies, they black daddies. It's a mama that raised them, and they raise them with another impoverished mentality, right? Once again, another generation of impoverished mentality. This is what they're raising. And they're going to mess around here and get pregnant too. Continue with the cycle. Single mama, right? Welfare, Section 8 housing, right? SNAP, all this other nonsense that they get. They get these set aside programs when they're pregnant, irresponsible, unprotected sex, sexually transmitted diseases, or abortions. These are the things that they learn in the inner city. You don't hear none of the churches You don't hear any other so-called black leaders speaking out against this. That's why I say it's a conspiracy. They ain't shit either. These old grifted ass, I don't even mess with them. You think they gonna listen to me, Howard? No, they don't. They don't listen to black male masculinity because they try to attack the male masculine energy. A lot of them are confused and they think they are men. They behave like men. They're not feminine, wild like a hyena, big like a damn. I mean, I'm just saying. They don't. They're not trying to listen to reason to say, well, yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? It's the opposite because welfare have given them. They think they got superpowers out here to deal with a man, which is absolutely not true. Because we already saw when the wick was cut off, who was the first one flipping out? It was them, the people, the bitches that was on Snap in the first place. Shit, I ain't on no damn Snap. I go out here and work for mine. I ain't over here tripping out, flipping out because the government was on shutdown. When the government was on shutdown, I was still out here working like most men. That didn't impact us. Shit, I was still over here going to restaurants. I was still over here buying what I need to do because I go out here and work for mine. I don't, they over here brag about they got a man or not. They rather, I mean, they ain't shit. Oh man. That's why I just said, man, I said this episode I'm gonna do something a little different. This is a Democratic failed policy. This is the same. I done seen so many of these sisters online today. I mean, just looking stupid. Fat and stupid. Overgrown. Bunch of idiots. That's why I want to get that. I'm going to get that Skeletor soundbite. Silent, you fools. I'm going to get that soundbite because I'm going to be using that on my future live streams and podcast episodes. You'll hear Skeletor's voice saying silent, you fools. Because that's what they are. Just babbling idiots off of emotion. No thought, no logic, no reasoning. You know what I'm saying? I don't even look. They ain't no leaders. I don't look to no damn black. Are you kidding me? Shoot. Well, we got to protect our queen. Shit. Ain't no queen. I ain't seen one with the Jezebel spirit. Hell no. As long as the Jezebel spirit dwells within them, I ain't got nothing for them. That's the truth. I ain't got a dog in that fight anyway. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I don't care if they see my face. They ain't taking care of my ass. And I don't expect for them to. That's why I tell men, do not move in a house with a woman, let alone don't have her making more money than you. Because she going to throw it up in your face. Never tell a woman all of your most intimate plans and secrets. Because she gonna betray you one day, just like Delilah did with Samson. I don't confide in a lot of women like that. You're not supposed to. You think I'm gonna go up here and tell women my plans and things that I want to do? No, I don't do that because she's gonna use it against you. If she's making more money than you, she's gonna use that against you, right? Now, I'm gonna go ahead and run down my vetting list and my ground rules. Since I'm talking about this, I want to let that be the icing on the cake. I definitely want you guys to understand this because I gave this copy to my I gotta send a copy to this to a friend of mine. This has been compiled by all men. This ain't my material per se. I just compiled it to help men out in the future. All of you take notes. You should have your ground rules list, right? First of all, if you live in the Western world, you better have a grounds rules. First of all, this is why it's important for you to make more money than she do. Because it makes more sense when you got ground rules. Number one, no male friendship whatsoever. No man can be friends with a woman unless he don't find her attractive. Now, there's women out there that I'm friends with, but I don't find them attractive, and that's a fact. Number two, No social media whatsoever. When her ass is on social media, she could be over there fishing. They always want to trade up. Women always trade up. Women always monkey bridge. It says it's just something in them, which is called the Jezebel spirit. It dwells within them. Number three, no girl trips. Some of you men that's allowing your woman with a girl trip, boy, I mean, this is one of the things. Let me go back to no male friends. Having a male friend, unless you got to ask her. Ask her about her male friend. Is he attractive or not? Oh, yeah, I think so, whatever. It's like having a dick in glass, break just in case of an emergency. That's what women see men as, talking about these male friends, right? Number two, no social media. Number three, no girl trips. Number four, no provocative attire. We talking about the short booty shorts that showing off their ass, walking down the street. What kind of man of means of value is going to allow his woman with him holding hands, walking down the street? That's something that a lot of these zennials do, right? But I'm just saying though, no provocative attire. Breast meat hanging all out of the blouse and everything. What the? Number five, no single girl involvement. Because we know single women keep who? Single women single. Number six, no tattoos, right? This is a big no-no in my book, when dating women. Because the reason why is it'll let other men know that you got you a freak. She does everything under the sun. This is a liberal type of move here. You see a lot of liberals with different color hair, and that's number seven. Avoid women with different color hair, whether it was blue hair, pink hair. What is it, the Power Rangers? Stay away from these type of women, right? Because this is mostly a liberal a mentality here. Conservative women don't dye their hair on all these funny ass, rainbow, bright ass colors, rolling around here looking like those damn trolls. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. Hecky no, man. So yeah, so these are my 7 ground rules list, man. Let's go over it one more time before I move on. No male friends. Number 2, no social media. Number 3, no girl trips. Number 4, no provocative attire. Number 5, no single girl environment. Number 6, no tattoos. Number 7, no crazy color hair dyes, right? This is crazy, right? No dye, this dye, this hair dye, this blue dye. Oh man, I can't stand it, man. No way in the world. Don't do it. Now let's go ahead and move on. How to vet women, right? So the first thing is that, and I use this, and I'm just giving it to you guys because I want the men to start winning. You can save yourself a whole lot of heartache talking about getting to know her. The first thing that I do, if we go out to a coffee date or whatever, why should you have to spend top dollar to take her ass out to a damn, I wouldn't do that. I've never done that. I ain't never took a woman out to Fleming Steakhouse, Ruth Chris. I ain't never did no stuff like that, right? Papa Dough and all the rest of them. I never done that. Maybe some of you guys have. I never done it, right? So number 1, this is what it says. How well does she listen, and how well does she obey, right? Number 2, right? Never date a woman that makes more money than you, right? Number 3, never move in with a woman. Number 4, never give a woman what they want, right? What I mean by that, this is called try to make your woman happy. No woman you can never make a woman happy. A woman's job is to make a man happy, not the other way around. When a man is happy, she happy. There's men that have went to the grave never learning these facts, right? I learned it early. So, it's a myth, right? What's the next one? Never buy a house with a girlfriend. You want to be the one buying that house, right? Now I'm gonna tell you this: way with the marriage laws, you may want to be very careful with that type of stuff because it's a such thing called alimony, and alimony is a transfer of wealth. And if you look at certain cities like California, they have one of the worst. If you are with her for 10 years, you will pay lifetime alimony. You will never come out of that black hole. Good luck. Brothers got to, men in general, you better start looking at the marital laws and stuff and things like that, because it is designed to get you. Marriage court is bullshit. I'm from my family court. All that's bullshit. It automatically slants towards her. It's in her favor, not the man's favor, right? Does she have a mother and a father who love each other, right? This is the thing. Is your girl's father the apple of her eye? Talking about your girl, right? That you're dating. If she don't find her father the apple of her eye, you may as well forget it. Hang it up. Most of these women today, they don't even have a father in the home. You know that's destiny to fail down the line with man, I hate these damn live streams, man. You know what I'm saying? Lose connection. right when I'm getting into the gist of it. I'm almost done, man. I'm almost done. I'm actually back. Got kicked out of the room. Sometimes I get these calls that come in, man. I get people that call me and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They kick me out of the damn room. But at any event, I'm back down, man. I apologize for the inconvenience, but I'm back. So hopefully you didn't miss everything though. But you guys need to adopt this list, man. And you need to have some type of vetting skills. Because I'm here. If you try to date American women, you don't have this list, you're gonna be in for a world of hurt. Can't be no punk out here talking to these women and stuff like that. You know how many women, when I say listen and obey, they lose their ever loving mind. You know what I'm saying? Why do they lose it? Because I'm looking for the woman that's going to behave and act like a feminist. Because feminists don't like to listen. Feminists don't like to obey no man. They're in the they feel like they're in the actual competition. They are the opposite, or they are in what I call in direct competition of a man. You see what I'm saying? In the Western world, it told her, weak men have told her that she ain't got to listen to no damn man. And this is why the dating world sucks today. Ain't no man out there doing that stuff. So I'm just saying, gentlemen, I went over that list. I said I was going to do that too. I'm glad I did. Because this is going to give you some type of power, security when you're out here dating. You know? This is one of the main reason. This is one of the main reasons. Y'all still can't see me. I got my camera on. Y'all still can't even see me. Why even bother? I'm over here in the car at night. Why even bother even showing the camera? F it. Just go, may as well turn it off. Can't see me anyway. You know what I'm saying? Dark skin too, sitting in a dark car. Come on now. But at any event, I just wanted to get this out, man, because we are up against a lot. We have to deal with a lot of shit. And I'm saying, if you were given the tools, I'm giving you stuff that our fathers were supposed to have taught us. But a lot of times the father wasn't at home. I wasn't raised with my real daddy. I had a stepfather, but I wasn't raised with no real father figure. Not by my real dad, but I had some type of father figure in the home. It's different when you don't have ish, right? That's the thing about it though, man. So you have these emotional males. We had them as Generation Xers. You have millennials. You have zennials, right? They've all been raised as emotional males. No type of male authority, right? No type of male discipline, right? Living and listening to their mama go off, flip off. And it's just not attractive. You rather have the tools to be able to vet, have your ground rules and this and that. I let them know this is the things that I don't tolerate. If you got male friends, it's not going to work out. Sorry. But yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of relationships are sour behind that. I know what a male friend is. Unless you go tell me that this guy is not attractive. You don't find this guy attractive, which is bullshit. Right? Ask the male too. If she's average or better looking at best, because we already know when the man, I'm in the friend zone, but hopefully one day I'm gonna work myself out the friend zone and I'm gonna get her, right? Being a friend to a woman today, you mess it up for other men. Being her girlfriend is what I call it, right? If men in general, if I had a magic wand, I would wave it where no man would be friends with a woman. And then guess what that would have to lean on? The woman would have to lean on either getting herself in a relationship or confiding with her girlfriends. But she is not allowed to have a male friend. If every other man were to practice this thing, this shit would change overnight. It really would. We don't get no benefit being friends with no woman. For what? What is it having to being a friends and having a friendship with a woman? What does a man benefit unless you ain't sleeping with her? What's the benefit? What's the benefit? Because I'm gonna tell y'all right this right. I ain't gotta tell you, you already should know it. Most of these guys that got friends with a woman, she's gonna always need more from your ass than the other way around. Ain't that a fact? Man, we ain't gaining, we ain't benefiting with this stuff. It's just a waste of time and a waste of money. It was a waste of time though, man. We gotta sit up in here and waste our resources and stuff dealing with these ingrate ass type of women. Sit up here act like they better than everybody else, better than the man, in competition with a man hating ass self. Shoot, don't make no sense. So yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, I think I am going to end it. It's about an hour and a half. That's not too bad. Like they really had this stuff down for an hour, but it was just so much information dealing with the Great Society, Lyndon B. Johnson. We talked about that. We talked a little bit about, mostly about the Welfare Act more of 1965. We talked about the Fair Housing Act a little bit, projects, where all this stuff come from. We talked about the black prominent neighborhoods before, right around in the time of segregation in the South, how blacks had more wealth. We talked about that. They didn't have projects and impoverished neighborhoods like we have today, projects and stuff, gang activity and violence, young YNs and all this other type of stuff, abortion rate off the wazoo. We didn't have all this stuff before. So I'm just kind of recapping over stuff that we talked about. Then we talked about the hyena behavior that black women follow. Hyenas are larger than the male hyenas. There's a social hierarchy amongst hyenas where the big mama hyena is the main, that's the main one right there. Then you got her sisters. Then you got her children. And then you got the male children. And then you got the male husband of them. And that's exactly how it is in the black community, unfortunately, but true. But other than that, though, I'm about to get ready to get off here. It's been great. Yeah, look, I got my one viewer though, and things, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, yep. Let me see. Howard says your stream cut out later. Appreciate your words tonight. Stay strong. Thank you so much, Howard. I'm about to get ready to head on out anyway, and things. I got to make a phone call, get back on the road. You guys have a wonderful night tonight. Sorry for the interruption with these streams. People sitting and want to call me at this time of night, thinking they can catch me. I'm always busy always doing something, man. But stay encouraged. Stay encouraged, gentlemen. I'm about to end this live. I appreciate you guys for coming around, checking out some random guy speaks and things like that. And I'm promised I'm gonna start giving more of this type of information and stuff like this instead of trying to wing it all the time. Other than that, you guys take care and peace.